All right. So last time that I gave a speech, I talked about this idea of happiness and what it means to all of us today. Today I want to talk about values, your own values, and what that means. We all have different values, right? All right. Bye, Commissioner. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Resuming my speech. We all have different values, whether that be religion, art, music, food. And these values are really important to us. In the world of coding, there's something called a routine. Now, a routine is essentially a sequence of codes that is repeatedly used to run the program itself. There's also something called a loop. And a loop is a sequence of instructions that is continually repeated so that a certain condition can be reached. In a way, we all have this routine and loop in our lives. In fact, you are the routine that needs the loop. So let me break it down to you to tell you what that means. In computer programming, the routine is needed for the program to run. Meaning without the routine, there is no such thing as a program. All that computer hacking stuff that you see in shows and movies, that won't happen without a routine. Similarly, in our lives, without you, there is no meaning to life. What does that mean? That you give life meaning. Without us, life would be meaningless. We need the loop so that a certain expectation can be met. And that expectation could be met through us or through other people. But essentially, we are the routine that needs the loop. So what am I really trying to say here? That we give life meaning. It's very simple. A lot of people have this misconception that life gives us meaning. But the truth is that we are the ones in control and we are the ones that give the purpose and that give the value to our lives. We have our own values for a reason. You are the one who choose to put those values in place and those priorities in place. A couple weeks ago, I heard a group of high school students talking about, by the way, trigger warning, talking about depression and suicide. And I heard one say to the other, at one point in our high school lives, we all contemplate suicide. And the other chuckled and went, yeah, I know, but I haven't been there yet. And the other said, I want to die. And so I stood there in shock. I was like, did I really just hear these kids, these high school students, talk about suicide and depression in such a casual manner? Is this okay? On the one hand, of course, normalizing this idea of suicide, mental health is a good thing. It shows that you acknowledge that it exists and that it is common, that everyone goes through that. But on the other hand, it's scary that such a thing has become so common. And as a teacher, I worry. I worry for the future of students' mental health. But I'm not here today to just talk about mental health. I'm here to talk about what the real issue is. And so, our values, how does that relate to any of this? Well, clearly, you guys are all here today. And even though they talk about these things, even though they talk about how much they struggle, they still progress. And for the parents in the room, I want to talk to you guys as well. And I want to tell you, this is something that your child is saying. This is something that your child is going through. Now, if I were you, I would be worried. But I wouldn't be worried about their failures. I wouldn't be worried that they're going to get a bad grade on the test. What I would be worried about is, are they okay? Can they mentally get through this? A lot of adults may think, well, they're so weak, they're so soft-minded. No, they're not weak. In fact, this new generation of students, they're the strongest ones ever. They're fighters, and they continue to fight through this battle. I'm a college student, and it hasn't been too long since I've been in your chairs, since I've been in that position. And yes, it's hard. But I'll tell you something. It only gets harder. So whatever you're dealing with right now, well, guess what? It's going to be 10 times worse. I'm not trying to discourage you or sound like a pessimist by saying that. I'm trying to prepare you for the real world. Because the real world out there, they will not ask you whether you got a 4.0 GPA in high school. They will not care about your scholarly needs and recognitions. What they care about is whether you are valuable to them, to the world. So how does one become valuable? Well, it's actually very simple. One of the most important things is to simply be human, be empathetic, understand others. We're here tonight to spread this message of peace and hope. We are all empathetic beings. We understand kindness. We understand that there is a true crisis in the world today. It starts from there. You're not here today because you want to put this on your resume, right? You're here today because you actually care about peace and hope. And that is what you need to go out there in the real world. You don't need something on your resume. You need that heart. And that comes from inside. All of these students here today, I acknowledge you guys as those fighters, as those valuable individuals. You are the routine. Your life needs you. And I know it gets hard, but you're still here, which means you didn't give up just yet. Don't give up. Because in the end, when that program runs, it's going to be the most satisfying feeling ever. I myself have not reached that yet, but eventually I will. And so will you. And that is really what's going to make your parents proud, and that is really what's going to make yourself proud. So understand what values mean to you. And understand that in the end, you're going to fight through it. You guys are all the fighters. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the night looking at all the artwork that these students have created, the writing that they have done. Because what they're trying to tell you is a story, their story. So listen carefully. Thank you.